Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I just want to start off by saying a massive thank you for tuning in today, for downloading the episode, and for letting me be a part of your journey in aviation. Your time is incredibly valuable, and I am absolutely thrilled you are spending it right here with us.
Have you ever looked at a highly detailed emergency procedure and wondered how every single parameter seamlessly fits together to save a flight? Well, today we are cracking open a fascinating and crucial document detailing flight deck memory items. We are going through it cover to cover, missing absolutely nothing.
Mastering these systems requires looking at the complete picture. These are the critical, split-second memory actions that stand between an emergency and a safe recovery. By the end of this episode, you will have every single detail, procedure, and call-out from this memory items manual completely locked in. So grab your notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive right into the very first item on our list. Let's kick things off with the brakes. Specifically, what to do during a loss of braking.
The very first thing you need to do is make the call-out, loss of braking. Now, if you have no braking, here is your immediate checklist of actions. Command your reversers to max, release the brake pedals, order the anti-skid to off. Ensure anti-skid and nose wheel steering are switched off. Press the brake pedals. Apply max brake pressure to 1000 psi.
Now, what if you do all of that and there is still no braking? It is simple but critical. You must use the park brake. Moving on to a highly critical miscellaneous procedure, the emergency descent. The required call-out here is simply emergency descent. Your immediate actions are: use the crew oxygen masks, turn the signs on, initiate the emergency descent. You also need to check your auto thrust. If the auto thrust is not active, move the thrust levers to idle. Deploy the speed brake to full. Let's talk about stall recovery. When this happens, the pilot flying must announce, "Stall, I have control." As soon as any stall indication is recognized, and this could be an aural warning or airframe buffet, you must apply these immediate actions. Apply nose-down pitch control. Bank the aircraft to wings level. Once you are successfully out of the stall and there are no longer stall indications, smoothly increase thrust as needed. Check that your speed brakes are retracted. Smoothly recover your flight path. There is also a conditional step here. If you are in a clean configuration and below 20,000 feet, select flaps 1. But what if that stall warning hits you right at liftoff? The call-out changes. You must say, "Stall toga 15." If stall warnings trigger at liftoff, apply these immediate actions. Slam the thrust to toga, and at the exact same time, set your pitch attitude to 15 degrees. Keep your bank at wings level. Let's navigate to navigation issues. Unreliable speed indication. The pilot must make the call-out, unreliable speed. If the safe conduct of the flight is impacted, you need to immediately turn off your automation. Turn the autopilot off, turn the auto thrust off, turn the flight directors off. For pitch and thrust, it depends on your altitude. If you are below thrust reduction altitude, pitch 15 degrees and set toga. If you are above thrust reduction altitude but below flight level 100, pitch 10 degrees and set climb thrust. If you are above thrust reduction altitude and above flight level 100, pitch 5 degrees and set climb thrust. Regarding flaps, if you are in configuration 0, 1, 2, or 3, maintain your current configuration. If you are in configuration full, select configuration 3 and maintain it. Do not forget to clean up the aircraft. Check that your speed brakes are retracted. Bring the landing gear up. Finally, when you are at or above the minimum sector altitude or circuit altitude, level off so you can begin troubleshooting. Now, let's dive into survival and surveillance. First up is the TAWS caution. The call-out is pull up toga. This applies to oral alerts like terrain, too low terrain, terrain ahead, caution terrain, obstacle ahead, or caution obstacle. If you are flying during night or IMC conditions, you must act simultaneously. Turn the autopilot off. Command the pitch to pull up, meaning pull up to full backstick and maintain that position. Set the thrust levers to toga. Check the speed brake lever is retracted. Adjust your bank to wings level. Listen closely to this rule. Do not change your configuration, meaning slats, flaps, or gear,
until you are clear of the obstacle. However, during daylight and VMC conditions, with the terrain and obstacles clearly in sight, simply adjust your flight path.
There are specific nuances for different toss cautions. For a sink rate alert, if you are above 1,000 feet AAL in IMC or above 500 feet AAL in VMC, adjust your flight path. If you are below those altitudes, consider a go-around. For a don't sink alert, adjust your flight path. If you hear too low gear or too low flaps, perform a go-around. And for a glide slope alert, above 1,000 feet AAL in IMC or 500 feet AAL in VMC, adjust your flight path. When conditions require a deliberate approach below the glide slope, turn the GS mode off. Below 1,000 feet AAL in IMC or 500 feet AAL in VMC, consider a go-around. Moving on to a full TAWS warning. The callout remains pull-up toga. This happens if TAWS triggers one of the serious pull-up alerts, such as pull-up, terrain ahead pull-up, terrain pull-up, obstacle ahead pull-up, or obstacle pull-up. You must simultaneously turn the autopilot off. Pitch to pull up by pulling full backstick and maintaining it. Set thrust levers to toga. Check the speed brake lever is retracted. Bank to wings level or adjust as necessary. Again, do not change your configuration until you are clear of the obstacle. Let's transition to traffic avoidance. First, the TCAS caution, known as a traffic advisory. The correct callout is either TCAS Blue or TCAS I have control. If your autopilot flight director TCAS mode is available, it will arm on the FMA. You need to check that the TCAS mode is armed. If it does not arm, the flight crew must be prepared to disconnect the AP in the event of a resolution advisory and manually follow the TCAS guidance. Also, if the auto thrust is off, turn the auto thrust on.
Now, what happens if that upgrades to a TCAS warning or a resolution advisory? The callout is still TCAS Blue or TCAS I have control. If the autopilot flight director TCAS mode is available, the flight crew applies this procedure when an RA is triggered and the autopilot flight director TCAS mode engages. The autopilot flight director TCAS mode will automatically follow the RA orders. For all RAs except a climb RA during approach in configuration 3 or full, if the autopilot is off, follow the flight director orders. The autopilot can be engaged. Make sure to monitor your vertical speed. However, if you get any climb RA during an approach in configuration 3 or full, perform a go-around. Follow the SRS go-around mode. Monitor your vertical speed. Ensure the vertical speed remains out of the red area on the vertical speed scale, and take over manually if necessary. Always respect stall, GPWS, or wind shear warnings above an RA. Notify ATC.
Once you hear the clear of conflict oral alert, the autopilot flight director TCAS mode, if it was engaged, will disengage. Monitor or follow your autopilot flight directors. Notify ATC. Adjust your lateral and vertical guidance. Adjust your speed. Now, what if the autopilot flight director's TCAS mode is not available? You apply this alternate procedure when an RA is triggered and the mode does not engage. For all RAs except a climb RA during an approach in configuration 3 or full, turn the autopilot off if engaged. Turn both flight directors off. Respond promptly and smoothly. Adjust or maintain your vertical speed. For any climb RA during an approach in configuration 3 or full, perform a go-around. Follow the SRS go-around mode. Monitor your vertical speed. Notify ATC. When you hear clear of conflict, notify ATC. Adjust your lateral and vertical guidance. Use autopilot flight directors as required.
We have arrived at our final highly critical topic, wind shear warning, specifically reactive wind shear. Your immediate callout is wind shear toga. If the systems or the crew detect wind shear, you must apply this procedure. First, let's look at takeoff. During the takeoff roll, the wind shear oral alert is actually inhibited. Wind shear recognition is solely based on flight crew observation.
Before V1, if there are significant variations in airspeed and an airspeed trend below the indicated V1, reject the takeoff. If wind shear occurs during the takeoff roll, be aware that the aircraft may reach V1 later or sooner than expected. The flight crew must ensure there is sufficient runway remaining to stop the aircraft if necessary. After V1, slam the thrust levers to toga. When reaching VR, rotate. Follow your SRS orders.
Now, if you are airborne, during initial climb or at landing, set or confirm the thrust levers are at toga.
Keep the autopilot on if it is engaged. Follow your SRS orders. If necessary to prevent altitude loss, the flight crew may apply full backstick. Keep in mind, if the flight director bars are not displayed, move toward an initial pitch attitude of 17.5 degrees and then increase pitch if necessary. A massive warning here: do not change your configuration, no slats, flaps, or gear changes until you are entirely out of the wind shear. Carefully monitor your flight path and speed throughout. And finally, when you are safely out of the wind shear, smoothly recover to a normal climb.
And just like that, we have made it through the entire Memory Items document. You now possess the exact steps, precise callouts, and crucial caveats for handling the most critical situations in the flight deck, from a loss of braking to aggressive wind shear recoveries. Knowing these memory items cold is not just about passing a check ride. It is about having the absolute confidence to keep your aircraft and passengers safe when every single second counts. Thank you so much for listening and training with me today. If you want to visualize these procedures and take your systems knowledge to an elite level, make sure to head over and subscribe to the A320 Mentor Channel TV on YouTube and join our Patreon community for exclusive deep dive mentoring sessions. Until next time, keep studying, stay safe up there, and fly like a pro.